Well, victory is sweet. The Rangers clean up this homestand and finish it 8-1 with their second consecutive sweep. Now to wrap up this homestand, I'm Abby Jones. We are joined with Jeff Wilson. A little bit of a spot start for me today, wishing John Radigan a speedy recovery. But Jeff, great to be with you. Great to have you back from vacation, and great for this Rangers homestand.
Yeah, I was afraid that my return might jinx them, but it turns out that they don't believe in jinxes, as nobody should. They're playing really, really well. I followed it as much as I could from Idaho and parts of the Northwest there, just playing great baseball. And what a great amount of great timing for all of this to come together, because 2 weeks ago today they finished the first half. They won at Houston and had a little momentum, and you're kind of wondering, all right, but they're still below 500. They come out with the Tigers. Could they get in position to be buyers? Well, they've absolutely done that. There's no question that they are going to be buying this week at the trade deadline. They did so with back-to-back sweeps, an 8-1 homestand. Could have been 9-0, honestly. But gosh, this is what everybody's been waiting for, and it's here. So, yeah, this is what everybody's waiting for.
Yeah, Josh Smith said today in the post-game interview with Laura that this is what everyone thought that this offense was capable of when the season started, but this is kind of the first time that you're seeing it click. You saw a little bit of the OG lineup, the intended lineup today. I mean, this is a lineup that everyone was looking to be the Rangers starting lineup for the season. It's only the fourth time this season that Bruce Bochy has been able to play all of these marquee guys together on the diamond at once. So you are happy to see that the product that they originally bought into works. It took this first half, for it to kind of get going, and then the second half it started to click.
Yeah, if you want to go all the way back to opening day, Evan Carter was at AAA. And Kevin Pillar was with the team, and so some things have definitely changed. Jock Peterson was out; he came back today. Kind of holding my breath on that one, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I think when they started spring training, they envisioned Evan Carter in the lineup, and they envisioned this. Now it's not the order they probably envisioned. I think that they didn't think Marcus Semien would be their cleanup hitter, but things have worked, or number 3 hitter, wherever he's hitting, things have worked out, whatever it is, and this is a testament to the adage, and it's not an adage because it's true. Baseball is a long season, and you have 162 games to get things figured out, and the Rangers still have a long way to go. They still have 56 games to go, and a lot can happen in 56 games. But over these past 9 games, if you're looking at it just at this homestand, if you want to go back to July the 8th, the Rangers are 12-3. That's the best record in the majors. Things can happen that fast, and you need some help along the way. The A's are providing it this weekend with what they're doing to the Astros. The Angels are beating the Mariners right now. And if that score holds, the Rangers are going to be tied for the 3rd wild card spot. All right. They are in a playoff spot. Now they have to hold it. And of course they want to improve upon it. They don't want to just be the wild card team. They've got a chance to win the division. They really do. The Astros are dealing with injuries. They probably played above their skis there for a while. And so I think it's all just kind of leveling out. And that's what happens over the course of a long season. So, the Rangers haven't won anything yet. Nobody should be planning any ticker tape parades at this point. But they have suddenly put themselves in position that a lot of us chatters, you and me, had doubts that they could do based on the first 97 games of evidence. But they've done it, and after they have, it's time for the front office to do some things and get the players that are needed in here this week and move forward, because they have the Angels and the Mariners on this next road trip. They come home to the Yankees and the Phillies. Maybe they're going to catch the Yankees at the right time, but these are a tough 2 weeks ahead, And just as a lot of things happened in the past 2 weeks, a lot of things can happen in these next 2 weeks. So they need to come out and play well, keep it going, and realize that it's only just begun. They still have a lot of work to do.
Right. And we're going to get into a little bit of the trade deadline. See all of those questions in the chat. Thanks to the championship games for this nod, Astros were outscored 32-7 by the A's in that 4-game sweep. So it goes back to the point of the AL West. Rangers really having a chance there. Did you go down to talk to Boch post game?
Yeah. And, he's obviously pleased as punch. And, he's a little more forthcoming than the players were. He said that they knew going into the second half that they had to play well because the trade deadline was looming. And we talked to Corey Seager about it, and he didn't really buy into that. He just said, "No, we just finally started playing well." Maybe that's it. But the fact of the matter is that the Rangers were on the fence. They very easily could have been sellers at the deadline if this thing had gone the wrong way. We were all lining up guys who would be trade possibilities. A lot of people thought that John Gray was brought back to showcase him for the deadline. And, and I guess that's still a possibility given the Rangers situation with the luxury tax. But John Gray's a hell of a reliever, and this team needs to add bullpen help. And if you can have John Gray in there going multiple innings a few times a week, hitting 97, that's a huge upgrade right there. Adolis Garcia, another guy who has a big salary. He's uncertain going forward after this season. Rangers don't win the game yesterday without Adolis Garcia,
right?
And so it would be hard to trade those guys, I think. So they're going to have to find something to do if they want to add a high end closer. And several of them have a chance to be available. There are no Josh Haders out there who are making $19 million a year. So that's comforting. But still, the Rangers are so tight to the luxury tax that they're going to have to do some maneuvering, I think. Maybe it's offloading some rookies, some prospects who are on the 40-man roster. It won't save you a ton of money there, but it'll save you some. It'll also free up 40-man spots for the players you do get. And then, when eventually Tyler Malley and Josh Sborz come off the 60-day IL, you'll need some.
We may have a bit of a Wi-Fi problem for Jeff. Let's see. Trying to figure out if Jeff is still for anyone else. Let me know in the chat if Jeff is still for anyone else, or if this is just my computer being slow. All right, so Jeff is going to try to reconnect on Wi-Fi, but those are all really valid points that he's making. We were kind of talking to Bruce Bochy during pregame before the series started. How much do guys pay attention to the trade deadline? Because everyone in baseball loves the rumor mill. They love to, speculate on who's going where. As a player, though, you don't really pay that much attention to it. You are paid to play and go out there and do what they're knowing that you can do. So, you obviously want to try. Jeff's on his way back. You obviously want to try to put yourself in a good position, but the Rangers want to win together. My point, Jeff, I think people want to make a correlation about the Rangers starting to click ever since Kevin Pillar's comments. What do you think about that?
I don't buy into that. I think that they view Kevin Pillar as a guy who it didn't work out for him, and they've been around this team a lot longer than Kevin Pillar has. What he said, even Chris Young kind of brushed it off. Bruce Bochy brushed it off. He was basically talking about Corey Seager, and everybody knows that Corey Seager does his own thing anyway. Corey, by the way, is in the clubhouse at times. He does dinners and things with his teammates and all of that. I think the clubhouse is not any different than it was in 2023, to be perfectly honest with you.
Which Kevin Pillar wasn't there, so he wouldn't know.
Exactly. So I think it's, and then Kevin Pillar, keep in mind, this guy was hurt and didn't make a road trip with him, and then he got DFA'd. So I don't buy into that. I know that there's some noise out there that Mike Maddox sparked the team by throwing his gum against the wall in Anaheim. I talked to Mike about that, and he kind of looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" He started laughing, and he said, "I wish it was that easy." He didn't cuss anybody out or throw anything. He just threw his gum, and I doubt that most of the team saw it. To be honest with you, I just think that baseball is baseball, and these things will work themselves out, or they won't. And the Rangers have figured out a way to make it all work. And the pitching has been the savior all season long. When the offense was sputtering, the pitching did just enough for this team to keep its head basically at water level, and keep the team from drowning. And now the bats have woken up, and ta-da, here they are. So I don't buy into any of that. I don't think there's not a picture of Kevin Pillar's head with a bullseye on it or anything like that in the clubhouse. Teams just don't do that. I don't know if this is the football mentality or the major league where they have the owner in her skimpy little dress and they keep tearing off a piece of it after each game that they win. I don't think there's any of that. All right. I just think that this is that's happenstance and not at all a part of what has happened here in the last few weeks.
Isn't it funny though how baseball fans want something to cling to? They always want,
hey.
Oh, this bird flew, or the last time Shakira was in the house, things like that. But no, something's clearly working for this team. They were 300 from the plate today, around 800 OPS, 5 walks, 7 left on base, so a few missed opportunities. But Josh Smith, player of the game, 3 for 4 with that home run as well. And then Jeff touched on it a bit. Jack Leiter, great starting pitching today. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 7 Ks, 3 walks. Jack has consistently been good for this ball club. And we've kind of used the word pleasant surprise because I think heading into this season, people were honestly probably a little more sold on Rocker than Leiter. But Jack's done a fantastic job this season. He matched a career high of 7 strikeouts and back-to-back starts. When we talked to him during his previous start, he said that he's not chasing strikeouts, that it's kind of just what you get when you pitch an efficient ball game. And that's really what's been the thing for me when I watch Jack. He's pitching very efficiently. His pitch count stays pretty low and pretty controlled throughout these innings.
Yeah, he's had a couple stinkers and some inconsistent times. I mean, that start at Pittsburgh wasn't great, for instance, and the one before that against Kansas City also not great. But of late, it's been a little better, and I think a lot of it. I think he learned a lot from today. He gets the 3-0 lead and he goes out and he walks the first 2 hitters and one of them ends up scoring. I think that with that meeting that Jonah Heim had with him and Corey Seager, you need to trust your stuff. Mm-hmm. And as the last thing you want to do, and Jack admitted this afterward, is walk anybody after you're just handed this 3-run cushion. So I think after that, the lead went to 5-1 and then 8-1, and he was really good. I think that he learned from this one. It's easy to pitch when you're up 8-1 and you're supposed to attack hitters. So why not do it when it's 2-1? And I think that he saw that his stuff plays when he's on the attack. He doesn't have to get fancy and cute and work around the edges. His stuff is that good. It plays well in the strike zone. So go ahead and do it. So, his next start will be against the Mariners in Seattle. The Mariners got him pretty good earlier in the year in a start here. I want to see, if it's a close game, what he does, and no need to dance. It's good enough. Go out there and make him put the ball in play. If his sinker's working and his changeup are working and his slider, if those 3 or 2 of those 3 are working, he's going to be in pretty good shape. But for him, it starts with the fastball. And if he's commanding that, he's going to have a good day.
Yeah, that is definitely true. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then we are going to continue talking about this homestand, maybe preview the upcoming road trip that the Rangers are about to take, facing a few AL West Division opponents. So stick with us.
But first, we're going to talk about branded bills. And, I'd seen branded bills on like my Instagram feed and stuff like that. And gosh, they're great hats. I have one. It's a TCU hat that my wife has stolen from me. So I'm not able to wear it all the time. But this is the place to go for hats, whether you need snapbacks or truckers, fitteds, T-shirts, even beanies, which I've never called beanie. I always call them stocking caps. Branded bills is the place to go. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart, Branded Bills will help you with custom headwear. You can start your order, and the Branded Bills team will help you create the exact apparel you need. And have a partnership with 40 colleges as part of their campus collection that includes TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. So head to brandedbills.com and use the code BBDLLS. That's boy DLLS for 15% off your first order.
While you're at it and saving money, go ahead and get you a pair of Shady Rays, because they are one of the best, if not the best, sunglasses on the market. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not crazy expensive, especially with that 35% off discount with the code DLLS35. Also, if anything happens to these, you lose them, you break them, whatever, they will send you a replacement. So not only do you get your money worth off the bat, but you don't have to spend extra money if you happen to lose sunglasses, which they are kind of the easiest thing to lose. Jeff, on your trip in Idaho, I imagine you could have used a pair of sunglasses. Did you bring your?
I did not. I gave my Shady Rays to my brother-in-law who was on the trip. Because I'm pretty sure he did, because I need prescription sunglasses, but he went ahead and wore them on the lake, and when we played golf, and they're a high quality item.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and check out shadyrays.com. Use the code DLLS35 for 35% off on polarized sunglasses. But what did you just call a beanie?
A stocking cap.
Is that a Colorado thing?
I don't know. It's a Wilson thing. That's just, I grew up in Colorado, and they were always called stocking caps. I've heard them called toboggans, which I've always thought was a different style of stocking cap that had the ear flaps that go down and you tie it around your chin. I always thought those were toboggans, but I've always been a stocking cap person.
I've never heard that in my entire life.
It's true.
Have you heard of Bob Ross, though? That is the question.
Of course.
Okay, Rads did not know who he was.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I know who Bob Ross is.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that. But all right, so the Rangers finished this. I mean, what were your realistic expectations of what they could do on this homestand? Because I feel like obviously they did better than anybody could have imagined.
I think they could have won every series. I think they could have gone 6-3, and I think that would have been good enough. I think 5-4 would have been good enough to convince the Rangers to make a push this week at the deadline. But what they did, I don't know that any of them expected it, but it happened. It's happened. But I thought winning every series was doable. I thought that winning the second game against the first two against the Tigers was huge, because you knew you had Skubal on the third game, and you also had Evaldi's back tightened up, and he got scratched, and the Rangers still could have won that game, and then you just saw them beat two teams that aren't very good. I mean, the A's have a lot of young talent, okay. The Braves have a lot of veteran talent, okay, but the Braves have no pitching.
Mm-hmm.
All their pitchers are hurt. And the Rangers missed Chris Sale. Fortunately, the A's they don't have a ton of pitching, and they had J.P. Sears, who is oddly the Rangers like kryptonite, but they found a way to win that game. So they did some things that they needed to do. They beat some left-handed pitchers, Sears among them. So it was just good. They're doing all the things that people thought they would do. They're and you're not gonna win every game 6-1 or 8-1 like today's score. You're gonna have to win some 3-2 games and some 2-1 games and figure out how to do that. Well, veteran teams know how to win close games, and the Rangers, I think they might have needed a course correction. I think Brett Boone's messaging has sunk in. Actually watching the game and doing what the game asks you to do instead of what your personal hitting coach tells you to do. Game situations are so important, and to be a complete hitter, you have to be able to excel in those facets too, and be willing to recognize that, while it might not be good for your batting average, and while you may take a swing that your hitting coach doesn't like, if it gets the runners to second and third, hey, you've done a job that your team's going to appreciate. That's going to help your team win rather than striking out or popping out or whatever it is. So I think some of that is involved in this offensive turnaround. But everybody thought the Rangers had wasted all this wonderful pitching in the first half, which they did. But the pitching's still there. Right. And now the offense is finally really since that second game at Baltimore. So it would have been June 24th. Since that point, the Rangers have had one of the best offenses in baseball. They're now second in the American League in run differential. All right. I don't know that a lot of people had that happening so quickly, so suddenly. So, yeah, this offense is capable. And now that it's going, this team is going to be pretty good.
And you mentioned that Baltimore series. That's kind of where Corey Seager started to streak. He continues his on-base streak today to 27 games. Over those 27 games, this is since June 25th, he's hitting .333 with 32 hits, 8 home runs, 22 RBI, and 20 runs scored. So it goes without saying that when Corey Seager clicks, that this offense kind of follows suit. But you've been in the clubhouse now today. What is the vibe like? Are these guys, can you tell a difference from the first half to right now and where they're at on this homestand?
Yeah, I think, they are. And, the interviews are a little lighter, more joking and it's louder because they're happy and they're winning. They've got their music playing. And yes, there's definitely a vibe shift. And I think there's a confidence level that comes along with that too. And it's amazing. These guys are the best of the best players in the world. But confidence is still a huge factor for them. And when they don't have confidence, just like any of us, they're not going to perform as well. But they know now that, if they don't get a hit, the guy behind them might. They can trust the guy behind them to do something right. And I think the thing that has impressed me the most about Seager is his willingness to take the walks. Now, I know he's getting walked intentionally quite a bit, and maybe guys are pitching around him, but he's not giving in to him and chasing. He's getting his hits when the pitch is there. But, this on-base streak has had some hitless games. But when Corey Seager is getting on base, when they're making their choice to pitch to, let's say, Semien instead of Seager, Semien, since the end of May has made teams pay more often than not. I know he didn't have a great homestand, outside of winning yesterday's game, but he's tough when he's good. And when he and Seager are clicking, this offense clicks pretty well too. But the bottom of the order has to do some things too. And I think with you saw Langford get a double today and Friday, big hits. Josh Young has looked pretty good since his return from AAA. Jonah Heim's been good. He's super hot and super cold, but right now he's on a little bit of a heater. So when the bottom of the lineup's getting on base for these guys, the Rangers are going to score a lot of runs.
You mentioned Jock Peterson back in the lineup today. Did you talk to him pregame, or did Bruce Bochy have anything to say about his return?
Well, we talked to Jock yesterday, and I think he was pretty happy with where he was at the time of the injury. He felt like things were starting to come around. A couple of weeks of better results. There was a stretch there where he was walking a lot and getting some hits. He said he didn't work on any real swing adjustments during his downtime, which kind of raised a red flag with me. But it also, he only had 2 rehab games. I know he saw a lot of live BP. leading up to the rehab assignment, but I think I would have kept him out there a little while longer. It's not like there was a pressing need for him to return, but it is what it is. He's back. He put the ball in play a couple times today. Didn't sniff a hit, I don't think, but this is a guy who's supposed to do some things, right? I mean, he was signed for a lot of money to be in the middle of the lineup and to hit home runs and to drive runs in against right-handers. And so it's time for him to do that. But you still look at the numbers. It's a 127 batting average and a 492 OPS. All right, that's not going to cut it. And it can't be that bad going forward. It has to get better. You'd think there's no way it could get any worse. But I wouldn't give him a huge leash. It maybe a couple weeks. And if after a couple weeks it's looking like it did before he was hurt, then I think the Rangers are going to have some, conversations with him or some discussions internally and try to figure out the best way to go about it. But you at this point, you threw your faith, if you're a Rangers fan or the Rangers themselves, you threw your faith into what's on the back of Marcus Semien's baseball card and Corey Seager's card and all these guys and look at their career numbers and what they've done. Right now, you got to do the same thing with Peterson and hope that his second half is much, much better. Even if he bats, let's say 240, that's 100 points better than he was doing in the first half, and you'd figure there'd be some home runs in there. So just kind of have to wait and see, though, unfortunately. And it's at a big stretch these next 2 weeks. We just talked about the homestand that ended, though. The season's not over, and it gets kind of tough here with the Angels, Mariners on the road, and then the Yankees and the Phillies at home.
We've got a question. Do you think that the Rangers will try to offload Berger to a contender?
No, I don't. Jake Berger is under club financial control for the next 4 years. I just don't see any value in doing that. They got him to be their first baseman going forward. And it hasn't worked out this year. He's been hurt multiple times, but I don't think that you're going to see Jake Berger traded, and it wouldn't provide a ton of salary relief anyway. And I don't know. I think you want Jake Berger playing first base. I like Josh Smith, but I'd rather have Jake Berger play first base. And I definitely don't want Jock Peterson playing first base.
Yeah.
And after yesterday, I'm not sure I want Rowdy Tellez playing first base either. So, I would not trade Berger, who, by the way, is probably looking at that Philly series to come back.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've got 3 up against the Angels and then 4 against the Mariners, like Jeff mentioned, and then back home for Yankees and then Phillies. So what about this AL West division opponent over these next few days? I mean, the Rangers can gain a lot of room in the standings here next week.
They can, and they've kind of put a bit of a cushion between themselves and the Angels. And they just played the Angels there. It seemed like, well, it was at just a few weeks ago. It was earlier this month, and went to, what was it, 2-2. Could have won all 4 games. Made some mistakes. Lost late in games. The Angels aren't sure who's going to start tomorrow. They might start Jack Kohanowitz again, who the Rangers tattooed in the finale of that series. And really that fed into the Astros series. And, hey, maybe that's where it all started. But they have a chance here to really, stamp out the Angels. And then the Mariners, it's a 4-game series at a place where the Rangers just don't play real well. This is a really big series, I think. It's going to be interesting. And the Mariners, we know they're always active at the trade deadline. They've been linked to Eugenio Suarez, their former third baseman, who's since gone to Arizona and turned into this great hitter. They want to get some bullpen help. They already have a good bullpen. So, this is a big series for the Rangers. It really is. And it's the last time they play the Mariners too. So, after this, if the Mariners get ahead of them, they're going to need some help from other teams to get over that hump. But it's it's a big trip. And then you come home, you don't get any breathers. Aaron Judge is hurt. May should still be on the IL when the Rangers get back. And then the Phillies, gosh, the Phillies are so good. And those teams are going to be active at the deadline. The Yankees have already made a move with Ryan McMahon. The Phillies want to add. So, it's a rough little stretch here. And the Rangers knew that coming in the second half. Their schedule, second half schedules, I think the second hardest either in the league or in baseball. But teams fluctuate, records go up and down. Honestly, the Rangers right now are a game behind. I'm sorry, a game and a half behind the Yankees in the wild card standings. I mean, that's just right there. The Yankees are really hurting right now, and Judge not being available is a huge deal, obviously. So we'll see what happens there. But this is some interesting times. But again, the Rangers have to feel great right now. They have to feel like they can beat anybody.
They do, because they're 6 games over 500 for a season best, 4 consecutive series wins, 2 sweeps, 6-game win streak, 8-1 on the homestand. Strong start to the second half. We are going to be talking the trade deadline after this message. Starting it out with Game Time. Jeff, you know that I live downtown. So often I can check out and kind of see traffic, and something's got to be going on at the AAC. So last night there was an event. There was more traffic than usual for this time of year. So I said, I'm going to look at the schedule, see what's going on. There was a concert. I looked into it. I didn't really want to go. But if I did want to go, I would have used Game Time to get some last-minute tickets, because you can purchase them day of. You can purchase them hours of, even 30 minutes before. Use Game Time. You can check out your seat before you buy it so that you know that you're going to get an ideal seat, and there's no hidden fees. I've used other websites, and then the ticket's not bad, but then you go to pay, and then it's like $300 in additional fees. So there's no second guessing here. Game Time makes getting tickets even easier and faster. On the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets to the event. So they have last-minute deals that you do not want to miss. So go to Game Time. You can download the app, and you can get $20 off of your first purchase using the code DLLS.
That same code will get you 10% off at Rugged Road, where there are also no hidden fees. Rugged Road is our favorite cooler brand because they're lightweight, they're durable, and they're going to keep your stuff cold for up to 7 days. And, we were out on vacation, Airbnb-ing it, and going out to golf and fish and all this stuff. And we just had these little styrofoam coolers. And I was thinking, man, it'd be pretty advantageous right now if we had us a Rugged Road. And I'm sure they could handle the baggage stuff because they're so durable. So anyway, go to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use the code DLS. You will get 10% off your first order, and you're not going to regret it.
All right, it is time to talk about trade deadline is upon us. We've kind of mentioned it a little bit. Now, before the All-Star break, this would have been a different conversation. How much has really changed? And maybe talk the viewers through, what this homestand did in terms of looking at this club and, contenders and later in the season.
Yeah, if I think you can kind of, if you follow, baseball, you can kind of get a temperature by the stories you've been reading. The Rangers could trade this guy and this guy. They could be sellers. Don't see that anymore. And talking to a couple of front office guys, the phones have stopped ringing. It's the Rangers who are making the calls about acquiring players instead of teams calling them, gauging, how much interest the Rangers are going to have in trading away. So that's one way to do it. And then you just look at the standings. I mean, my God, it's Rangers are right there, guys. So they are going to be buyers. They want relievers. Now, obviously, the bullpen has been pretty good, but right now they're without Chris Martin. They got John Gray back. We talked about him. Maybe they trade him to free up some money. But with Armstrong has been great. Milner's been great. Garcia has been pretty good. It's a little dicey when he's in the game sometimes, closing them out. But those guys have worked a lot this season, and they need help. As nice as Cole Winn, as nice a season as he's having, I'm not sure the Rangers are quite there with him yet. Jake Latz is kind of bouncing around between the rotation and the bullpen. I think, it would be nice for him to settle into a role. I think it'd be an advantage to him to have that opportunity. Jacob Webb has been good, but these guys aren't true, strikeout guys. They don't just come in and that they're going to strike out a guy or have a good chance to strike out a guy if they make their pitches. So I think the Rangers are looking for some guys who throw the ball pretty hard. The guys who throw the ball hard and know where it's going, though, also. Because the one thing that this bullpen generally does well is it doesn't kill itself. It pitches a contact, throws a lot of strikes, and gets some efficient outs. This is and it's an interesting time. You kind of look at the closers who might be out there. They're all going to cost a little money. Emmanuel Clase is probably at the top of the closer heap. I think he blew a save yesterday afternoon, and hasn't been as good as he was last year. But this is a guy who has an incredibly club-friendly contract going forward. David Bednar is a guy who Rangers fans have liked in the past, and he's kind of having a rebound season. And you kind of wonder, what are the Twins going to do with Duran? And they also have the setup guy, Griffin, what is it, Fox? I can't remember his last name. But anyway, he's good. Griffin Jacks. And the Rockies. Even the Rockies have relievers. Yeah. Vondrack throws 100.
Right.
Do you want to get a guy like that who's under control and probably isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg? You kind of think back to past deadlines. You go back to 2015, and Cole Hamels stole the headlines with that trade. But the Rangers also got Jake Diekman in that trade. And then right before the buzzer, they made a trade with the Marlins for a guy named Sam Dyson, who, I'm not going to lie, I'd never heard of. And he was controllable. He came in, and with him and Diekman, they just completely overhauled, changed the course of the bullpen, and helped the Rangers get to the postseason. So, it might be something under the radar like that. And the Rangers have been really, really good at hitting on the margins. That you can go out and say, oh yeah, we got this guy. Well, he's an all-star, whoop-de-doo. Everybody knew that he was good. It's these other guys that make or break you. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers, try for a bigger name if they're able to make the money work. And then also, though, get a guy that you're like, I don't know about this guy. And then he turns out and does pretty well.
Right. And CY always says the best upgrade are internal upgrades. So Rads and I have talked about this. I haven't gotten to ask your opinion, but with Chris Martin going down, what do you think about John Gray in that setup position?
Well, I mean, you saw it last night. I know he gave up the home run, but he gave them 3 innings, and they were efficient and pretty darn good. And you saw there in 23 when he came back from the late season forearm deal in the playoffs. He was a really good reliever. Game 3 of the World Series, the Rangers may not win that without him. He was that important coming in for Scherzer in the 4th inning, and then just 3 dominant innings. I don't even think he threw 30 pitches. So he can do that. His stuff plays up when he's relieving. And also, if they need a spot starter, he's a pretty good option, and that would allow Latz to kind of ease into a spot where he knows what he's going to be doing every day. It's interesting because Gray's in his walk year. He's going into free agency. He's not starting anymore, but he's all in on this. He wants to help the team win, and even if it's as a reliever. So I would really think that the Rangers will have to think long and hard about trading him, just because, if you want to look at it as a trade deadline acquisition, getting him off the IL, you can look at it that way. The Rangers got better when John Gray came back.
Mhm.
So can they flip him, save the money, and turn that into 2 better relievers? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, yeah, and and another injured guy is Josh Sborz. I don't know what Josh Sborz is going to be able to give him. He's still searching for some velocity. If he can get up to 94, 95, he'll be all right. 92 is going to be a bit of a challenge, even though he still has the really good off-speed stuff that he's really happy with. He's not going to be able to blow anybody away with his heater, though. So he may have to pitch a little differently. And then there's Tyler Mahle still, who is probably looking at a late August, early September return. When you get him back, what are you going to do? Do you anoint him a starter? Do you move Leiter or Rocker to the bullpen? And if the Rangers are in position, if they feel like they're going to be a playoff team, you might see that, because one of those guys isn't going to be in the postseason rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Rocker or Leiter. You move them to the bullpen. Hang on. You move them to the bullpen. You're picking up a guy that throws 97 with a nasty off-speed pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would do in that scenario. It's neck and neck. If Leiter is throwing strikes consistently and putting away hitters, I think he's better than Rocker right now. Rocker, he's a starter. They're going to start him, but the way he moves and the way he doesn't hold runners, he's kind of like a reliever, So I don't know which way that'll go, but one of those guys won't be in a postseason rotation theoretically. But Mahle has to be back and be healthy and be effective for us to get to that point.
We got a chat from Mike. There's a remote reality where we could end this road trip leading the division race, talking about facing the Angels and the Mariners. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely possible. It would take they need some help from the Astros. You need the Astros to keep losing, and the Rangers need to stay hot. But right now the Rangers are 4 games behind the Astros. That's it. 4 games. That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It was 11 games on July 7th. Okay, so they've made up 7 games in, somebody do the math for me, 20 days. It's pretty impressive what's happening here. I haven't seen what's the current Angels Marianners score here. 4-1, top of the 9th. All right, so the Angels hang on. By the end of this show, the Rangers could be tied for second in the West, and then tied for the final wild card spot. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty remarkable turnaround there for the home team. So we'll sit back and watch here in the next few minutes and see what happens. But the Rangers have a chance to continue to play well, to continue to nudge toward first place, to continue to move up in the wild card standings. They've put some padding, some cushion between them and the team behind them, the Rays. It's up to 3 games now because the Rays have fallen apart. Maybe Pete Fairbanks, maybe a reunion with Pete Fairbanks. We talked about a reunion with Emmanuel Clase. Maybe there's a reunion with Pete Fairbanks. Who knows? But the Rays might be selling too.
Yeah, and the Yankees, if they keep doing whatever the heck they're doing right now, they can kiss that wild card spot goodbye. We'll get into more batting cleanup and then Hall of Fame induction. Jeff, they said that they're shocked you're not wearing your Hall of Fame hat on.
I thought about it, but I thought it'd be too corny.
Well, we'll talk about it coming up next. All right, so my phone is blowing up right now because Clarence Hill is out in California sending us all the updated info with the Cowboys. I don't know if you guys have checked out the DLLS Cowboys Twitter, but they have been posting some phenomenal things. They've got great eyes on site. I'm very proud of Pop. I'm going to have to give him his flowers when he's back. Our crew is out there for quite some time, and then I think the fellas are going to join Clarence soon But there's so much to talk about with the Cowboys now. I know they're still waiting on Micah Parsons to get his deal. So if you want to be the most informed sports fan, not only for the Cowboys, but for the Rangers, the Mavericks, the Stars, all of the things, WNBA as well, go ahead, sign up, be a diehard, because you get access to things like Jeff Wilson writes some of the best articles I've ever read. Really do read them all the time, and they're great. So join today to be a diehard, because you can get, number one, a free shirt. The membership goes on sale quite a bit. So if you do the math, sometimes you're paying like $1 for the membership because you get a free shirt, all the things, 20% off of events. Go ahead and become a diehard today.
Not only that, though, Abby, we're in the midst of what they're calling the training camp special. For $36, you can become a diehard. I like to think of it as the trade deadline special. But anyway, I guess training camp sells a little better than the trade deadline, which I think is rubbish. But anyway, you get your, for $36, you're going to get all this access plus the free shirt. And as we kind of pimped last week or 2 weeks ago, we've got some great new shirts over at store.allcitynetwork.com. I have 3 in my my little cart. And I'm getting ready to push the button on those, and of course that'll get me up to I think 16 t-shirts. I don't remember. Well, I am going to get a Nuggets shirt from the DNVR, because it's a pretty sharp looking shirt, and I am a Nuggets fan. You know, I was born and raised there on Alex English and Kiki Vandeweghe and Fat Lever, so I still have a little loyalty to the Nuggets, even though I'm in Mavs territory. But the fact of the matter is, go to store.allcitynetwork.com and get you some sweet gear.
It's really funny that you mentioned that, because there's a video of Nikola Jokic reacting to his horse winning a race. And, the big joke with him is that basketball is his day job. He didn't even act like that when he won the finals. He is crying, sobbing, leaning over this winning horse. And you got to love it. All right.
Yeah.
So
he's probably drunk.
Well, that probably too.
Yeah.
All right. 5 new members get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Ichiro, CC, Billy Wagner. Fun story with Billy Wagner. His son actually plays for the Blue Jays, and he's got a series in Detroit right now. But on this Sunday, he is in Cooperstown watching his dad get elected into the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on? Yeah, I thought it was cool that baseball did that. Rad said he didn't think that would really happen. But what are your thoughts on the players being represented in this year's class? Yeah,
I thought they were, pretty clear cut. I've been voting for Billy Wagner for a while. CC and Ichiro were first ballot Hall of Famers. I really want to go back and watch the Ichiro speech, because from what I've seen on Twitter, it sounds like it was hilarious. So I want to go back and watch that. But I really want to, I was kind of struck this morning watching some of the MLB Network coverage about Dick Allen and especially Dave Parker. And of course, it's terrible that Dave Parker died last month, a month before he was inducted today. But, you look at his numbers, and he should have been voted in by the writers. And I don't know why it was. I mean, I have some suspicions. He had some encounters with drugs, and maybe people thought the writers thought they were better than Dave Parker, although they're at the bar every night anyway. So I don't know what happened there with Dick Allen and Dave Parker, but they're deserving guys. I mean, we're talking about former MVPs. Dick Allen was a Rookie of the Year. Dave Parker won 2 World Series. I think he won a batting title. He finished second in the MVP another time. In '85, he lost it to Willie McGee from the Cardinals because McGee, batted 350 something and stole a ton of bases and scored a bunch of runs on that Cardinals team that just manufactured runs, and then ended up getting screwed technically in the World Series, and then blowing Game 7. But that kind of is what struck me the most. Those guys should have been on a long time ago.
Yeah. No, Ichiro, somebody left him off the ballot, and
Right,
he
one
said
person.
that they're uninvited to his house. What are your thoughts on somebody? Do you think ever they should, if it's one away from unanimous, what are your thoughts on the person that voted? Did they lose a right? Should they have to reveal themselves?
No, they should have to. Every writer should have to reveal his ballot. I just, we're at a point where transparency is the media isn't very popular. I'm not just talking about sports media. Sports media is okay, but between Republicans and Democrats and NBC and CBS and CNN and Fox News, kind of dividing the the voting electorate, fake news and all that stuff. There is definitely bias in our news coverage. A lack of transparency would go a long way. And I think that whoever did not vote for him and whoever didn't vote for Jeter should show themselves. I really think, just get out there and do it. You're going to be forgotten in 2 days anyway. All right. But get out there and do it. And if they don't, they shouldn't lose their voting privileges for that. That's just how they voted. Maybe the guy was like, oh my God, I just, I totally meant to do it, but I forgot and didn't check it. I don't know. Maybe it was a blank ballot. Maybe somebody submitted a blank ballot. I don't know, but because there's been some of that going around the last few years. But how do you not vote for that guy? He did everything, except hit for power. And Mark McLemore swears that Ichiro could have hit 30 homers a season, but he chose to, put the ball in play and hit for average as opposed to trying to hit the ball over the fence and sacrificing maybe 20 or 30 points in average.
Yeah. You mentioned you've been voting for Billy Wagner for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at baseball here in the last, let's say, I don't know, 30 is probably too short. Last 40 years, and then going back to the advent of the designated hitter, baseball has basically created two positions, DH and closer. And they're very underrepresented in the Hall of Fame, considering how important they are to teams. And so I think that it's time for more closers to get into the Hall of Fame. I voted for Francisco Rodriguez, the former Angels closer who, set the single season record with 60 saves. You look at his career totals, I think he's top 5 all time in saves. And then, DHs, they don't play a position. They play a position. All right. They don't play defense. No, but they are on teams to do a specific thing. And if they do it very, very well, they should garner more attention and consideration for the Hall of Fame. So closers are always going to be on my ballot. The best of the best need to be in the Hall of Fame. And Billy Wagner, you look at his numbers, it's hard to say he wasn't the best of the best.
Right. I agree completely. There's a comment going to watch Ichiro's speech after this game, after this show ends. I think there's a few chuckles in there, no doubt. But so you did you go to Hall of Fame last year, Cooperstown, to cover Adrian?
I went for Adrian right before we launched. Adam there in the chat. How is Andrew Jones not in the Hall of Fame? Same with Gary Sheffield. Voted for them both. All right, I voted for them both. Andrew's going to get in next year. But yeah, 100%. I don't care about what his batting average is. He's the preeminent defensive center fielder on some of the the best teams in the National League. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Ozzie Smith was this great shortstop, not a great offensive player, but he's in the Hall of Fame. Some people want to put Omar Vizquel in the Hall of Fame because he's a great defensive shortstop, not a ton offensively. Andrew Jones was an amazing center fielder. Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine would probably still be in the Hall of Fame without Andrew Jones as their center fielder all those years in Atlanta. But he definitely made their ERAs better and their win-loss totals better. He was that good, and he's a former Ranger. Don't forget 2009, former Ranger. So we'll see what happens, but I think he gets in next year.
Yeah, and we got to chat about writers that reveal their ballot. We appreciate that. I agree. transparency is huge, and I think if you have the right to vote, maybe you have a duty to reveal it as well. All right, let's shift this talk to maybe not the best to ever do it, but maybe the best for one game. Did you see Nick Kurtz the other night against the Astros? I mean, 6 for 6, 4 home runs, 8 RBI, and 19 total bases. He is the first athletics player in history with 4 home run game. It would have been 5 in 3 other ballparks. Do you think that's one of the most impressive games?
Sure. Now, didn't his last one come off a position player?
I have to check that, but
well, anyway, great game. He's a rookie. He's got great power. He's going to be a player. He's going to be a thorn in the Rangers side for a long, long time. It rates as one of the best games ever. I was at the Josh Hamilton 4-homer game where his lone non-homer, he went 5 for 5, was a double that went off the wall. And it was unbelievable. And I still contend, we were talking about the other day here at the ballpark, that Josh Hamilton is the best player I've ever seen.
You stand by that to this day?
For that stretch from 08 to 12, he was the best player. He was so good. Could run, throw, hit for average, hit for power. I've never seen anybody have a month like he had in July of 10. It was unbelievable. I thought of Ian Kinsler's cycle game in 2009. He went 6 for 6 while hitting for the cycle. Did that against the Orioles on Jackie Robinson Day. That's a great offensive day. But there have only been 20 4-homer games. There have been 23 perfect games. So it's even more rare than a perfect game for somebody to hit 4 home runs. So now I do think it's happened twice this year, though, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty special. And what Kurtz did, especially to get against the Astros, I'm sure Rangers fans will always thank him for that.
Yeah. And to tie it into who we just saw, because I actually interviewed him when the A's were in town. And at the time, he had 18 home runs. He was 2 away from 20. He was on pace to maybe – there were only 2 faster players to hit 20 home runs as a rookie for the A's. One was Matt Olson. So just goes to show how good they are. I looked up Josh Hamilton's numbers for the month of July, though, back in 2010, because I was curious.
Okay.
418 batting average, 41 hits, 5 home runs, 17 RBI, 17 runs scored in 26 games.
It was amazing. He hit a home run at Miami at the old stadium, 436 to center, and they put the batting cage. They used to put the batting cage behind the center field fence because it was a dump and didn't have any place to put it. He hit the batting cage, and I swear to God, that ball didn't get 20 feet off the ground. It's probably the hardest ball I've ever seen hit.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's really impressive what the rookie's done. And again, he's going to be an issue for the Rangers because he's in the AL West.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's one heck of a game, one heck of a series. Man, I was messaging with our producer, Elijah. He's kind of a newer baseball fan, but he's like, this game is so exciting. And I'm like, oh, man, if you didn't watch many of the 2023 games, it's a lot like it. There kind of was a formula for a big offense, but it's great to see, the production that you knew that they were always capable of. Now, do you think this is a turning point in the season, Jeff?
100%. Yeah. 9-1 their last 10 games. And it is official. Somebody put it in the chat. The Mariners lost and the Rangers are now tied for the 3rd wild card spot. All right. So yeah, the season has taken a sudden turn in the right direction.
Okay. Well, we'll take it. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on the DLLS Rangers podcast. We hope that Rads gets to feeling better, but thanks for bearing with me. And Jeff, good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, guys.
See everybody tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.